Good morning. Greg here, burning both ends, burning on the front end of Wednesday morning at 6:11 a.m. Pacific. June 20th, 2018. So getting into the day, and just the success journal. I just keep saying this, but it continues to work, and I'm really digging it. So kind of what I've been doing is I'll wake up and I'll hit this right away. And it'll just remind me of these little itty bitty tasks that I need to get done. And I'm able to fire off a bunch of them, maybe in about 10 minutes. Just little reminders. I'm getting quotes, so talk to the vendors. I need to get quotes, so I need to talk to some of my scientists to get some specs. And I notice how a lot of folks have good intentions with a lot of their email communications, but I find that we, as an organization, and I'd say we as people, don't really understand, or, well, I shouldn't say that, have different views about how email should be used to communicate information, right? Some people think, oh, if I just forward this to you, right, and I'm going to type FYI, which I think is a huge sin, because if you're forwarding me an email, of course it's for my information. Why are you forwarding it? Why do you need to be redundant and tell me? I'm forwarding this to you so you can look at it. It kind of doesn't make sense. So if you're one of those people that forwards emails and just types FYI ... or something, and then I'm going to now have to search the thread and figure out which part of it is important for me and why you sent it to me, I would recommend stop doing that and help me as the receiver of your email. Right? Pull out the piece you want me to read and put it at the top and say, this is what I want you to read, and then give me a call to action. And so what I notice is that people with good intention, they'll forward a thread and then they'll put some language in there that speaks to something but does not specifically call out an action or a deadline, right? And in my opinion, if it's now this is the game is totally different if it's just a social email. It's completely different. But if it's a work email and it's money and dollars are on the line and people's time, then do everyone a favor. Forward the email, pull out the thing that you want people to read, and call specific actions with someone's name and a deadline. I know it's a lot, but it's really important because we're all I don't know how many emails I get in a day, 50-ish, and I wouldn't even say I get a lot, and I still get like 50. So I could probably spend all day doing nothing but email if I really had to do what. Read all these threads, find out what all the information is. I probably would have to make some phone calls and talk to people. Hey, I got this email, and you're in thread number 3 here, and you said this. What did that really mean? And you can kind of see how this goes. And what I'm talking about specifically is we're looking for a quote for a specific piece of equipment. And I was talking to the people that I thought were the keepers of the specs for the equipment, and I asked the simple questions, are these the specs? Let me know, blah, blah, blah. I want to get a quote and get this ordered. And then that person forwarded it to 2 other people and asked a bunch of kind of random questions or made a couple random statements and then just kind of left it there. And so now it's up to these 2 other people to sort through this thread to find out what we were talking about and what they need to get me. And good luck with that. And so anyway, and I find that a lot of the work I do is tracking communications like that and trying to provide clarity because I'm the one that needs to take action, right? I can't get a quote for a piece of equipment unless I have the specs. It sounds pretty simple, but and then I've also noticed, some folks that like to, they're very careful about taking on extra tasks, which I totally get, right? Saying no to extra tasks is important because it's easy to get overloaded. But at the same time, if that's the default, right, then you kind of make yourself not a very helpful team member. I understand your intention. Your intention is because you're overloaded already and you can't take on more tasks, and I get that. But at the same time, if the answer is always no or always a deflection, I'm being trained by you on how you contribute to the team, right? And your contribution is minimal, right? And that what does that do? So that's not a real good team dynamic. that just doesn't, that doesn't create connection, that doesn't empower folks to be part of the team. It can, if you're new to the team and you're getting that kind of feedback, that can be really kind of a devastating thing in joining the team, and really give a new person a negative opinion about the team and the teamwork involved. But anyway, so back to the success journal. So hitting that first thing, I'm reminded of these little tasky tasks. And when I say that, I mean like little things that are just like, here, let me go and reply all to that email and kind of clean up the slight mess that was made, right? And it's not that I'm the one that knows all this and no one else does. It's not at all. It's just, in my aerospace startup and in my technology startup, I spent a lot of time kind of looking at email and analyzing the way we use email and realizing how, everyone has their own theory on what email should be and how it should be used. And it's almost like in every email that I send, there should be a paragraph describing my theory on how email is used. So that way you understand. And then now imagine if everyone had that. I mean, it'd be a nightmare. And so just to boil it down, what I think email is for communicating specific information, right? Opinions are difficult to communicate. Kind of brainstorming is, either I'm going to summarize something, right? I'm going to summarize a meeting, and I want you to look at it and tell me if I missed something, or I'm going to communicate specific information, the size, the place, a meeting, specific kind of very black and white information. Now this is all business, obviously, all on the business side. So anyway, I think email has to go away at some point. I think it's, for business, I think it's a challenging thing. Another thing is, someone's inbox, right? It's I control my inbox and how it's organized. And, some people have all these folders, some people don't. I'm one of those that don't. And then, there's also this other theory that because I sent you an email, it means that not only did you read it, but you fully comprehended it. And now you know what to do, which is another kind of, I'd say, that's good luck with that one is what I would say. So anyway, a lot of little tasks this morning before the post. And then on the iCore tip, I didn't do any work yesterday to fill the pipeline. So today, it's going to be challenging for me to fill the pipeline. I do have a bunch of companies now to reach out to. I have a bunch of follow-ups from last week. The game is patience, so that's really good. I'm kind of glad that there's a whole week, between my first communication and my second. It shows patience, shows a lack of desperation. It's almost like dating. It's like, and there's that famous scene in Swingers, if you've seen that, where the whole group of them is right. They're at a bar and they're talking about hitting on women, and then a few of the men get some phone numbers, and then they have this discussion about how many days before you call. And they all talk about how many days, and then, the two studs are 6 days is, I think, is the answer. So 6 days. But anyway, this is a lot like dating. It's, it's, you don't want to appear desperate for the meeting, but at the same time, I want to have a nice, timely follow-up. And I like to have that follow-up be a different style of communication. So if I have a phone number, I'm going to call them. And then the trick that was taught to us by one of our instructors in the mini iCore course is when you're following up with a phone call. All right, so email is communication 1, phone call is communication 2. The phone message is very short. Hi, this is Greg. I sent you an email last week on Wednesday. I'm calling to follow up about the email. Please give me a call. That's it. And now they're going to go, Greg sent me an email, let me go find it, right? As opposed to trying to re-explain the whole concept in the voicemail. Because if I send a good email on the front end, it should all be in there, right? And if I'm doing good email practice, at least in my theory, right, I should detail who I am, what I'm looking for, and what the call to action is. And there should be one call to action. And actually, there is a gentleman that I work with. I really respect the way he does email. The very first sentence of the email, he communicates like how hot or cold the email is. I mean, he might say, Dear Greg, no action required from you of this email. Please just read for your information. Now I know. I can kind of chill out. Or he might say, hey, I need a response by Friday. on this specific topic. Now I know. And I was even thinking about there should be some code developed, not code, but like, not code like programming, but code like, I don't know, it's a six character string that from the 6 characters I can tell when I need to get back to that person. And how important it is, and maybe what projects it's for. I haven't worked on this much, but just this is the, so that way I look at the subject, and just by seeing the subject, I know exactly, kind of the logistics of handling that email. I'll say it that way. All right, well, that was like a nice 10-minute little email intro. So I will wrap soon. Because we want to get into a little bit of work before the girls get up. They get up about 7, so I have about 40 minutes or so left. So just love the Success Journal, really working out. I like the 1-week chunk. It's still working really well for me. It's not becoming an overwhelming sheet. As you can look at it, it is linked down below. You can check it out. You can't edit it, but you can look at it. It might not make a lot of sense, but you can kind of see last week's and then this week's and what's changed and what's different, and I guess that's the same. What's changed and what's different. What's different, what's remained the same. So that's going well. So just want to hit 2 more topics. So I haven't talked about Ense in a while. I'm still Ensing. I love Ense. So check me out on Ense, E-N-S-E. This is a voice-based social media platform. Really digging it. And really cool thing. So there's an event on July 31st, an Ense event in New York City. So I'm flying up for that. Actually, I've been invited by the Ense team to join that event, and so that's going to be a lot of fun. And I will be actually in South Carolina that week visiting my parents. So, I'm going to do a little hop up to New York City for one night. I think it's a Tuesday night, July 31st. So that should be a lot of fun. It's going to be at the Venmo headquarters. So looking forward to that. I burn at both ends there, I'll tell you that right now. So that's going to be an interesting 24 hours, right? I think if I'm going to fly out at like 1 o'clock local in South Carolina. I touch down about 3:30 or so, and then I fly back the next morning at 11. So it's going to be kind of a real whirlwind of a trip, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So that's that. And then the other thing is, interesting thing came up yesterday, and I'm so glad about the Success Journal. So I'm running down this chiller that we bought for one of our experiments, and this is a very special chiller. There's a pen I just dropped. We use it in many places, and so this is why this was recommended. Got the quote in January of this year with a 16-week lead time. So talk about patience. 16 weeks. And then I learned the hard way. So that it was supposed to come in. I think we got the order in mid-January. So it was supposed to come in toward the end of May 20th or something. And I just learned yesterday that it is literally on a slow boat from Malaysia, and it's not going to get here for 6 weeks. Not that the boat's going to take that long, but it's got to go through customs and the whole business. And so what that looks like is a 16-week lead time has turned into 26 weeks. Because as of tomorrow, it's already a month late. And so now we're looking at another 6 weeks on top of that. And that's just an estimate from the vendor. I mean, there could be another snag somewhere. You never know. Could fall off the boat. But, this kind of thing drives me nuts. That, right? And what's really frustrating is this specific piece of equipment. We're going through a distributor who we actually bought it from, but then the actual manufacturer of it is a different company. And so we're kind of dealing with that double layer there. And what's really frustrating is I don't even know if there's any action that we can take to kind of, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what we would do, but in my opinion, a severe discount should be offered, right? We almost doubled the lead time it's going from 16 weeks to 26 weeks. I mean, someone should, in my opinion, do something to help us because, the price of the chiller is not crazy, but it's the time that we're losing. The time, right? Time is so valuable, and time is so costly. Those are the same sentences. I'm realizing I'm being a little redundant this morning. That's okay. Yeah, it's just so costly, right? It's that marching army concept. It's, every day, how many people are billing this project? How many people are showing up and punching in and punching out? And regardless of what we do, they're hitting the project budget. That's a big deal. I think we're okay with this project, but still, it's really frustrating to get have a 16-week lead time turn into 26 weeks, and have no one really, we get apologies, but what am I going to do with an apology? Not much, huh? So anyway, a little frustration there, but this is kind of how the business goes. We will work around it, and make it happen. So when it shows up, we'll be happy to have it, and we should be ready for it by then. So that's today's post. So this is all just kind of a mashup of the things I'm working on, my journey as an aspiring entrepreneur, my work projects, my side projects, my personal projects, my family projects. And so these are the things I'm doing that are giving me success, the tools, the tricks, the tips. The success journal is just killing it. I'm really digging it. I'm probably going to keep this going. And and so that's that. So subscribe, comment down below, tell me what you think. Tell me about your journey. I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to ask questions. I'm a big piece of this channel is I want to be of service to the entrepreneurial community. So ask me questions, give me problems to solve. I'd be happy to help however I could. And that's that. In the description, you'll find some links to some motivational folks that I really dig, really got me on this path this year. You'll find some good links to some music. And then you'll also find a link to the beat that's in the background here. It's an Afro beat inspired by fellow Hoodie. My alter ego is G Money, so I write these beats. And check it out on SoundCloud. A bunch of free beats there. I certainly dig them myself. So y'all go out, have a great day, inspire people, do great things, and I will see you tonight.